well, to my audience, I want you to first introduce yourself to us. And before we get into the conversation proper, I would also want you to, because I know you launched your book last year, so I also
Yes.
want you to share with us on becoming fruitful, what that is all about. So just let's meet you.
My name is Nima Dion. I like to call myself. I'm a writer, an author, a speaker. Yes, I launched my book last year, April. It's a biography. It's more of my life experiences from childhood, but majorly what gave rise to the book is because of my experiences so far when it comes to relationships, not necessarily love relationships alone, but my relationships with people, family, you know, everything was all packed together. Everything has all been packed together to create my kind of mindset, and where I am today. So basically, that's what the book is about.
Oh, okay, perfect. And how is it going with the journey of the book
Yeah, I
launch?
shared in the book, I shared some experiences of difficulties, moving from learning stage to actually living life with the things that I have learned and known. Mistakes were made. And one of the major reasons why I wrote the book again is so that when people get to read it, especially the younger generation, they can um, see some mistakes that I've made and that could be avoided, that could have been avoided, you see. And then they can actually learn from it and advance faster in life without, having those pitfalls, having to fall down, pick yourself back up, and all that.
Wait, oh, sorry. Is this is part of these mistakes? Does it involve or include people serving you breakfast? Have you
Well,
received that?
well,
Or you are the one serving them breakfast?
I got served breakfast, yes.
Mm.
But I feel like it was more of things that happened without it was not like I never got my heart broke because I never really experienced that breakup, that kind of breakup that, oh, he cheated on me or something like that. Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So I want to ask because there is a scripture I want us to look into, but before then, I want to ask your relationship status, if you don't mind me asking. Are you single? Are you married?
I'm single.
Okay. All right. So there is this scripture that talks about don't be unequally yoked, right? I heard that, I think it was this past Sunday, from I think from a teaching. And when you hear that as a Christian, I believe you are a Christian,
Yes.
right? A believer. When you hear that, what does that mean to you? And in the context of a relationship, right? Of love, having to know that say we should love people, everybody. So what does that mean to you? Don't be unequally yoked with unbeliever. Does it mean that we have to be in relationship with someone that have what we have, that believe what we believe, that is going where we are going? What does that mean to you? Because I'm trying to understand that.
Okay. I feel like it's about first of all, it's about the belief system, the mind.
Okay.
Because in the Bible there are set down rules you
Right.
know, for us to follow when it comes to relationship. And these rules are not there to hound us. They're not there to like make us feel uncomfortable, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or just feel like we're missing out on what other people are actually doing, people that are
Mm-hmm.
unbelievers. I feel like in at the long run,
Mm-hmm.
when we go by these rules, it like helps us to organize our lives. They are meant for us to help us.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm going to use myself as an example.
Yeah.
Um, I I had to learn the hard way. You see, I was not born a Christian. I I loved everything about, Christianity. I loved to since I was young,
Mm-hmm.
but I never really saw myself, becoming a Christian. Even though I listened to messages, preachings, and teachings from the men of God and all that, and I also love gospel songs. I never really thought about like reading the Bible and just, living my life by the laws, of God
Mm-hmm.
from the Bible. But as I grew up, I began to understand some things about myself. I was drawn to, this lifestyle. When I can tell you that when I gave my life to Christ, like when I made that declaration, I made it out of just love for Christ and everything around being a Christian. But I never really like lived that life. So I was
Mm-hmm.
naive, you know.
Mm-hmm.
In my book, I said something about my parents teaching us to be, you know, responsible, to be respectful, and all of these things. But I made a very clear statement that they didn't teach us to know some certain things, even though they are Muslims, right? They didn't teach us to know some certain things that would help us. Like, for instance, I was taught to be a good girl, not wayward, but I was not taught to know how to recognize the right person for me. You see, I was not taught all those things. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
really like sit me down to tell me, okay, if you are like this, and you want to be successful and happy in your relationships or in your life, you
Mm-hmm.
should be like this. And you see that Bible verse that you just quoted
Mm-hmm.
about being unequally yoked. It's like a teaching on its own that when we meditate on it and like really think about how it helps us, it
Mm-hmm.
will help us to align our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then you will just know that, okay, even if you are somebody that don't know what you really want,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're somebody that don't know what you really want in a relationship, just following you know, that Bible verse, like
Mm-hmm.
like a student that is just following something so that they can pass, it can actually help you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you yourself, you are trying to like become a better person, you're building your faith, and then somebody comes that is not in line with what you are doing. That alone can help you, excuse me, that alone can help you align your life, because you already know that this person is not going where I'm going. This
Mm-hmm.
person is we're not doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's my own take.
Okay. Okay. So just like you said, we're not taught a lot of things, and but then you think that is the reason why we keep doing relationship wrongly. You think as a result of that, or also that it's not that I think we always say it's the absence of information, right? Absence of awareness, and we cannot say that we have a lot of information right now. So still, we still have people do things differently, make wrong choices, unhealthy choices. So why do you think that is?
I don't know, for so many people, I want to use myself as an example.
Right.
like I said, I was naive.
Right.
I When I started dating,
Mm-hmm.
I did not feel like I was doing it because I was courting someone in order to get married. See,
Okay.
I was young. Let me see. I started dating at what age, if I'm permitted to say that. I started dating at the age of, I think, about 21. Like, yeah, my
Okay.
first yes to, sorry, I think 20. Let me take you back a little bit. And then
Mm-hmm.
we were kind of connected, we were in love, we were just enjoying each other's moment. And he respected me. He
Mm-hmm.
respected, my decisions of not, getting in bed and
Mm.
doing all, the act. But one thing that I know that I noticed that happened was that this person was thinking about the future.
Mm-hmm.
I was also thinking about the future. In fact, I already felt like this is it. I met someone that I really liked. There was somebody that, was like asking me out before him. We kind of wanted to kickstart something, but then it did not, you know, it was not as tangible as it didn't make sense. It was not as tangible as with this other guy. And then the whole thing started,
Mm-hmm.
and then things started to happen. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have prior knowledge of what a
Yeah.
relationship should be like. I just
Yeah.
knew that, okay, I don't want to have sex. I knew that. I knew that I did not want to have sex, in a relationship. I was not ready for it. I did not think about when I was going to be ready. I did not also state that I wanted to be my wedding night. Let me not be acting like holy holy, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
But I knew at that time that I was not ready for it. And I told him and he respected that. But
Mm-hmm.
I started to realize that there was more to, a relationship than all of that. Okay. How I knew that he was thinking about the future, even as young as we were, was that he started because as at that time, I identified as a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
He is a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So he was getting worried about, you know, our status, like, you know, religion wise.
Mm-hmm.
And it started to make me really think that, okay, we have this much like chemistry, we have this much um the relationship between us, the communication, everything was heavy. So I just kind of like I was looking at him as this is the one for me. And I
Mm.
guess it was the same for him as well. But some things happened along the line, and that's really where my story began to take shape because we started to fall out. Um,
Mm.
some things happened, and he just started to, avoid me. I can kind of like say that, looking back,
Mm-hmm.
hindsight, I now understood or I understand why he, he like took steps
Maybe
away
distance.
from me.
Yeah.
It really pained me, it really broke me. And then from that moment onward, I can tell you that I was not interested in love anymore.
Mm.
But the mistake I made was I didn't have enough experience, with
Mm.
people, with relationship. I didn't know that people have motives. People,
Mm.
you know, people don't just get into relationship, especially young people. You see, if you're like now I'm an adult, I understand what relationship should be about. It's about companionship. That's the major do you understand? So then I was just getting into relationship because I felt like I'm old enough, I can be in a relationship. I didn't want
Mm.
anything special.
This
I
is
was not,
actually most people's intention when they get into relationship is as a result of their age. I'm old enough. I have what it takes. You see, right? Yeah.
so I felt we fell apart. And
Mm.
sometimes I'll call him, and then for months he would not call. But I could tell that we were still kind of connected. There was something going on. And what really made us fall apart, I'll say, is because of our religion.
Mm.
Because he started to like really worry about we had a kind of conversation one time that really got us to, talk about that aspect of our lives. And he was like, okay, I'm ready for you to practice your Islam. He
Mm.
didn't, there's something that he didn't know about me. I'm not even sure that he knows that or he knew that at all.
Mm.
I'm someone that I love to sing gospel songs. I love to sing gospel songs. I'm very sure that if he had known that about me, maybe he would have thought, oh, she probably has,
Something.
something when it comes to that. The only thing I can remember is there was a day I was by the window in his room and I was singing
Mm-hmm.
and I was singing it's a worship song. And then he flips the curtain like in shock. Like, is that you? Like, is that you? I just smiled and then I think I stopped the song or something. So we fell apart not because he did not want me to um be a Muslim, because it was very glaring at that time that my parents, especially my mom, would not support, you know. And I think he had, his own reasons, everybody have their reasons. That was why we fell apart. But
Mm.
instead of me as a young girl to sit back and really think about the relationship and, you know, maybe think about what happened or why we fell apart, or maybe what do I need to do? What do I need to know
Mm.
in order to advance?
Mm-hmm.
I just took that as okay, it really crushed me. For years, I hung on to that relationship for years. I can tell you, I hung on to it for years,
Mm.
and I believed that we were going to come together.
Mm.
Okay, I think after like 2-3 years or so, I met
Mm-hmm.
someone else. We
Mm-hmm.
started to date a Christian again. um, but the funny thing about him, there was something funny about him, was that he was a Muslim, so he had a Muslim name. So I felt
Okay.
like, okay, this is good, because I just knew that something was drawing me away from something beyond me, was drawing me away from being a Muslim, you see. So the relationship started, and I felt like, okay, if we can make it through, we would. My parents
Mm.
probably would not even know, because they would not even bother asking, you know,
Mm.
because I felt like, okay, the woman's side is where the marriage happens, so there will not be a need of exposing ourselves and all of that. You see, that's another
Mm.
wrong foundation to start a relationship. There are some things that I believe we should know
Mm.
before getting into relation. That's why, we begin to have breakups, halfway, like breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes some people did not have the intention to serve you breakfast.
Right.
Things did not just work out. But there are some people that they had motives within them for
Mm.
coming to you in the first place. And you are ignorant, naive, you don't know anything.
Mm.
So I believe that before we even go into any relationship at
Mm.
all, we should know ourselves, who we are, and what we want.
Mm.
Then that one is one thing that we should put aside. Now, the second thing that is very important, I'm going back to the Bible verse that you mentioned the first time, is
Mm-hmm.
to now judge who we are, what we want, by that Bible verse, to not be unequally yoked. It will help us to stay focused, because we know at the end of the day, the reason for all this is to, I'm talking about as Christians, because everybody, have reasons for going into relationship. Yes, some people they're just like, the guy has money now, let me just date him and collect his money. That is a motive there, right there, that has nothing to do with, what we are talking about. We're talking about having relationships that will work, that will serve us. Yeah. So I didn't learn what I was supposed to learn at the right time until, things started falling on each other. And then I became a mom, or should I say I became an imaginary wife, before I started to like really look at myself, and I'm like, who am I? Where am I going? What do I want? Then I now started to realize that even if I didn't know who I was or where I was going, if I had at the palm of my hands that Bible verse, and I was studying, and I kept it like a bell ringing in my head every time, and I understood it, there are probably many traps I would not have fallen into, because I would have known that, this is not it. By the time I look at the person and judge the person, this is not it. So I feel like before we get into relationships, we should really sit down first. But the world these days, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure around us when we feel like, my friends are having boyfriend. I don't even have a boyfriend. I don't have a relationship. That's how mine really started. Okay, let me say after the guy that I dated and really loved, after we fell apart, I didn't date anybody for, let's say, about 2-3 years. I was like really hoping and praying and wishing that everything will fall back in place. But at some point I began to like look at myself and say, I'm not growing any younger. Hey, I'm not growing any younger. Like, I'll tell you, the pressure was like, look at my age. What if I now meet a guy now, and then the guy hears that I've not, been intimate with anybody in my life? Would they not run away from me? Like, would they not say that, what's wrong with this one? Well, what am I going to do with this kind of girl? So I wanted to date because I felt like I needed to advance in my life. See, I'm telling you, Aderonke, I had books. I used to write, little things about what I want in my life and everything. I had prayer points. I had like long-term goals and short-term goals. One of my prayer points then, I'm going to tell you that this now, I'm looking at myself, I'm like, I was stupid. My prayer point then was like, God, I want a relationship that is working, that will advance. There was no specific, you see, there was nothing specific. So this guy came along, the one I talked about being a Christian but had a Muslim name. He came along and we started dating. And I started learning. I started learning. The reason why I would not say that I got served breakfast from him was because there were many things that he had done. But because my prayer point, remember I said, I want something that is working. I want to make anything work, because I do not believe in love anymore. I'm telling you, I was with this guy and I was always thinking, I'm praying that the other guy would come back to his senses and then we would have, a good relationship. So things started to happen. This other guy now, I did not care about love, you see. I did not even care. I was not interested. Love, what's my business with love? What do I want to do with love? Let's just date now. Let's see whether we can move on. I was not under pressure. a 23-year-old under pressure for what? And I'm not the type of person that wants a guy to that is looking for a guy to buy me stuff. So I was not trying to please anybody. I was just doing it because I felt like it was the right thing to do. At my age, I should be in a relationship, yeah.
Right.
Even though I didn't know why I should be in a relationship. I just felt like at my people who advance in their life. That is kind of advancement. I date somebody, if he works out, we get married. Excuse me. We get married and then we move on with our life. I did not understand that this person could be going on a in a direction that I'm not going.
Right.
We started dating and things started to happen. I was being served different type of meals in this relationship, but foolish of me or naive, the naive girl in me, I was not interested in seeing those things. I was not interested in seeing those things, for what they were. Or I did not feel like, oh, these things are, signs that, they call red flag and all of those things. I didn't see it like that. I was just like, okay, what? But so, he proposed to me actually. He bought a ring, he proposed to me. And then I said yes, hoping to, continue our lives. I used to feel like even though I didn't love this guy, we'll work it out. Life is life. Love, who love help? I had already loved someone and then didn't make any sense.
Mm.
It didn't happen. I waited
Mm.
and waited, it didn't happen. Even though I was still out, I'm telling you now, let me confess, I would go on Facebook because we were friends on Facebook.
Mm.
I'll go on Facebook, I would look at his pictures, I would like some of them, just trying to like keep conversation alive with him so that maybe the day that he gets back to senses, he will know where to find me. At least let me send that message on Facebook. You know, all of that, I'll tell you, was already a mess. It was a whole mess. I did not really know what I wanted in a man. I did not know what a man should be doing, in my life. I was just there doing life. But I think the time came when the relationship had to end. All of these things are things I wrote down in my book.
Yeah.
The time came when the relationship had to end because I started to feel like I am stupid. I was not I stopped being interested in um trying to just do life, Was it because I remember one Whitney Houston song that used to ring in my head that I think that was the guide to break up with the guy at that time. Uh, it's not right, but it's okay. I'm gonna make it. And there's a particular line in that song like that I always have in my head. I'd rather be alone than unhappy. So I felt like, what's the point of being in a relationship and then giving myself problem when I can be alone and be happy with myself? So again, just like I took that song as a guide, if I had the right teachings, if I had the right things in my mind to use to design or like the right frame in my mind, it would have been different. It would have gone. Some people are lucky because just like I've learned now the hard way, I'm very sure that anybody that is willing to listen under my watch will not make such mistakes again. You see? That's why I said some people were lucky. They had the right people at the right time to tell them, and they listened. Some people don't get to listen.
Right.
But I am one person that I know that I used to listen. So if I had people to tell me, I would listen. I was just doing when like when a car does not need to use so much fuel to move and they'll say it's going free. The Yorubas will say own that free, something like that.
Yeah.
That's how I was going. I was going with no prior experience. Some people, before they had this kind of experiences, they had been into different types of relationship.
Right.
They didn't
Right.
learn. So see, I believe that our parents, or
Right.
we now, that were, because I'm a mom of two
Mm.
boys, we now we need to do our work.
Mm.
We need to see, we need to like let them know certain things. Because me, I believe that essence is very important in anything that we're doing. And if we can get the essence right,
Right.
then we are bound, the essence of whatever we are doing right, and we stick to it, so we're bound to be successful at it. So I was just going free like that with my relationship or with my dating life. I was just going free. I had nothing to. I know that I'm not a wayward girl. I was never wayward. I like just loved to do. I never looked for a guy, or I never was like, oh, I want a guy that date me and just spoil me and take care of me. I was never like that. I just felt like things should just go a certain way. That was my mindset. That was a very level-headed, let me use it like that,
Okay.
person. And it's not like I'm saying that I was level-headed because I like got it right. I feel like some things just didn't come my way. You see, some things didn't come my way. And I also knew that I had fear, or I just had some type of fear that kind of like guided me in not like just hopping around. But I can tell you, I'm not saying that those that were hopping around, they did the right thing, because they must have, been entangled with different things. Some people did not come out, alive. Some people did not. Some people, had different type of injuries on the way
Right.
before they now finally got it right. But I feel like if we as parents can like do our work
Mm.
and guide our children, or even the people around us under our watch, that are willing to learn from people that have had past experiences, I believe that this serving breakfasting or doing the wrong, getting into the wrong relationship for the wrong reasons, and getting crushed and emotionally broken and all this, you know it will not happen. It won't be happening. It won't happen.
Yeah, but wait, let me say this. Yes, you with the point of parents having to um guide their children, but it still boils down to the skills. Are they well skilled? Are they equipped with the right knowledge, with the right information? Because you and I know that you cannot give what you don't have. You can only give what you have. So for example, growing up for me as well, like of course my parents, both parents were educators, and they gave me, everything about my life is either I'm going to church or I'm going to school. You see, it's book for me. And my mom will always tell me, don't allow a man to touch you. My interpretation is touch you like hold your hand, like if you touch you like you, your life is destroyed. And also I always, when I'm always very, you see me, I'm always very hard when it comes to guys. I'm like, I frown my face, I'm like, I shut them up and all of that is as a result of the way my mom interpreted it. Yes, it was a wrong way, and but then they never told us some certain things. Okay, when a guy did this to you, report, be vocal about it. They only
Mm.
put a fear. But now let's look at this generation, the parents we have now, right? Our parents today, and is that they don't have the right information. You see, those ones that are getting into relationship for wrong reasons, they're still going to give birth to another generation, and they have not learned from their own mistakes. They are going to give,
Exactly. And it
when
gets worse. Instead of it to get better, it
yes,
gets
we keep
worse.
the circle keeps, we keep replicating the circle. It goes on and on, generation over generation after generation. So I think you see, like this session we are having, I want, the reason, the goal for me is actually to bring people to the place of self awareness. So we don't say if I had known better, I would have done things differently, right? Okay, we get that, right? But can we stop living in ignorance and start seeking knowledge? We have phone now. Rather, we will use our phone to stay on some stuff that doesn't edify our own
Social
spirit,
media.
right? So yes, social media is a tool, right? But then you have to be able to see. Do you know how to sieve information? I can be on social media, on Facebook, I'm scrolling. When you open your mind, even when I see the post, I just scroll like, no, this is not the kind of information I want to soak into my own spirit, because I believe that what I hear, what I see becomes part of me. You see. So but then I just wanted to point out how that, see, it's not, yes, maybe they want to, but they only give what they have. You see, if they have nothing, they will give nothing.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you because my parents, just like you said, your mom, anything about boys, is is like the French people will say is interdit. He's like, it's impossible. Don't even bring that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Stay safe. Be on your lane. Anybody
Mm-hmm.
talks to you. Me, I remember when I got into the university, 100 level, I went back home. My mom, she sat me down and took my phone and she said, "Oh yeah, everybody that is on that is registered on this your phone. Oh yeah, start telling me who they are. If she found any boy's name, I have to explain. I need to have a tangible. So that I think those kind of relationships with my mom created the fear in me and then took my mind away from actually learning. You see, if we can have conversations with our children, it's not really like teaching. Okay, from our own experience now, it's not really like really teaching it. They believe, the older generation, they believe that it's better not to talk about it. But the generation that we are in today, it's even better when you start telling at as early as 10, 11. Maybe like 5, 7 years ago, I would say 13. But now I'm telling you, as early as 10, 11, start talking about relationship so that your
Mm-hmm.
child will know that, you know, crushes, maybe secondary school crush can become something that can destroy you if you
Right.
don't know, if you're not really like looking at it with the right kind of eye. What do you
Mm-hmm.
want? You see,
Right.
what are you actually doing? If my mom had sat me down and say, now you are in school, oh, if boys come and meet you, try to like look at them, talk to them. Because see, Yoruba people say, kò sígbà tí má kú ò ní kú. It will happen. But when it's about to happen, are you ready? Are you doing the right things? Because there's no time. See, we went from don't talk to boys. We went from that to, I'm telling you with my mom now, we went from don't talk to boys to, okay, when she found out I started dating somebody that, did not fit her own description of who I should be dating, like the Christian. We went from that. Then because of um the heartbreak I had and everything, I was not dating anybody for so long. And then I think as at 24, 25, my mom started behaving like I was under a spell of, why are you not dating anybody? Why are you not seeing anybody? Those kind of things, especially with someone that don't have the right, mindset. Maybe they were not, like you said, maybe they did not have, is what they have, they can give you. They
Yeah.
believe that, okay, okay, wait, let's think about it. How can somebody go from don't talk to boys to they don't talk to boys from a certain age to a certain age? Then you now just flip the next page and you're like, why is she not even dating anybody? Is she supposed to just, am I supposed to just like transform? If we had been talking, there are many reasons, there are many things that we can use as materials, as tools to educate our children. It could be a movie.
Absolutely.
Yes, it could be a movie. My dad was never really the talking type, but I can tell you that I remembered one or two or three things that he would pick out from a movie that we had seen together as a family.
Mm.
And then he would just say one or two things, then it will stick. But I
Mm.
think maybe if he was the so much talking type, maybe he would have, really seen those things. The man now is all about providing for the family. He'll just go his
Yeah.
own. And then he comes back in the evening and then we're sitting together after dinner, watching something. I remember my dad saying one night that no, a woman's love for a man has to be lesser. Yeah, he
Wow.
said he's a man. He said the man have to love you like 70%, and you'll give him like
Wow.
40%. He was not even judging it based on 60-40 or the 100%. He was saying from your own side, from your 100% love that you have, at least you should love your husband 40-50%. And then he should love you from his own 100%. He should love you like 70-80%. That
Mm.
that's the way, because I think we were just seeing a movie that night or something. You see, when,
Mm.
when you when we begin to, because as children we begin to absorb things, you see.
Yeah.
If you're in a home whereby your dad was hitting your mom, and your mom did not fight back in any way, maybe not hitting him back, but like acting as if this is all
Normal.
shades of wrong, that
Yeah.
child will begin to feel like it's a normal thing.
Yeah.
It happened to me in the sense that when I started dating the father of my children, he had been around. I had known him for a while before I even started dating the other guy that proposed to me. We had been
Mm.
friends. Maybe we were never close friends, but we talked, and I was as the relationship started to advance, because we started to date after, like, maybe 2 months after I ended things with the other guy. That's when we started to date. I feel like he started coming close to me, and then he knew at the point where I was, separated with the other guy. So I think it was like the perfect chance to like sleep in his own intentions and everything. The relationship started. As at that point, I did not still learn my lesson. I did not still sit down and feel like, what do I want in a man? I'm telling you, I was so love struck with my first love that I was still thinking that this is for me. It's going to happen someday. It will happen. I was love struck, and we started the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and everything went so fast. Everything went like before I knew it. I'm telling you, before I knew it, I was already thinking of starting a family with him without him proposing to me, without us having, doing the things properly. Because I felt like, okay, I'd known this guy, he has good intentions, he cares about my work, he would help me sometimes to deliver my cake orders, he would support my business. We just started moving so rapidly like that. Like I said, my life was basically going on a free level without really being shaped with, specific, expectations. I should expect this. And I'm going to top it with, let's really know ourselves. Let's know ourselves. Let's be aware of who we are within, our worth, and then inclining it with God's word as to guidance towards, having a, safe and good relationship is just the way to go. It's just the way to go. Because I was just jumping. I was proceeding from from I was just jumping, from one fry pan to another fry pan. And I did not feel hot because I was still carrying the, pain of, I was
Mm.
making my decisions based on the fact that there's love is not real. Love does not exist. Like, how could I have been so connected with this person? And then at the end of the day, it didn't work out. How? So that's just, yes, maybe they they don't have what they're supposed to teach us. Maybe they just live their life. I mean, our parents now. Maybe they just lived their life by they were modest, and they eventually found someone and decided to live their lives together. She gets.
Yeah.
Maybe it worked for them, but the world is rapidly evolving. Like, the world is rapidly like evolving, and we cannot erase the fact that there are people from different background, different home, with different teachings, with different mindset, with different expectations. And we raise our own children. They are so innocent in their thoughts. They don't want to hurt anybody. They're just modest. Me, I came to the conclusion that being a good girl is not the ticket to landing the perfect man. You have to be intentional. You have to know where you're going. You have to know what you want. If not, you will fall into the hands of a man that he knows what he wants and he knows what he wants to do with you. That's my experience with the father of my children. He knew what he wanted. Very experienced man. He knew what he wanted and he knew what he wanted to do with me. But I, on the other hand, I felt like, oh, I found someone that really likes me, and then we can do life. He can take care of me. He's capable of taking care of me. So I thought. But things that I expected to fall in place. Okay, you're dating someone. Even if he's like the kind of person that did not want to like do the proposal thing. There are ways now. Like my elder brother, he knew, let me expose him a little. He knew that he was going to marry this girl. They had talked about it. They had, even picked the date for introduction. So I went to my brother's house and I saw him planning how to propose to his wife. And I'm like, hello, we have picked date for introduction. What are you doing? He said, I must do this proposal. I must ask her. Like, I must actually ask her. I must, I must state that question because he had the understanding of what he wanted. And so him putting himself in that, position, that situation, it proves to the lady even more that this person wants to do life with me. In my own case, it wasn't like that. My own case wasn't like that. And I did not even care, frankly speaking. I did not even care. I just wanted to, I think everything will fall in place. We will be fine. And then I started dancing. I was in a fry pan, but I started dancing. And why I started dancing in the hot fry pan frying, was because as I grew older, I started to understand some things more, things that I should have known when I was much younger. You see, I should have known these things when I was much younger. It would have helped to guide my life. But I was already in a serious relationship. Things started happening that opposed the things that I started to like, the things that I thought should be. And then when I speak up in this relationship, the problem begins to start. Like, how can you be speaking up? You've always like felt comfortable in this kind of environment. So what's the drama? I started to die slowly. It was killing me, killing my mindset, killing my focus, killing my relationship with God, killing everything, basically everything around my life. Before I got to a point where I had, I'll call it an awakening. I had my awakening. I started to know that this is all shades of wrong. This is all shades of wrong. Am I going to live my life, my entire life? I have just one life and I already have two boys. Is this how I'm going to live my entire life? Like, am I going to live my life like this? I started to really understand that this is a matter of choice. I took my stand, and then my story began to change for good. When I began to take my stand, when I began to like take my stand in my own life, I began to really know who I am. Like, why am I even in this situation? Why am I in a relationship? It was the level of naivety ate me up to the point that I did not realize that the foundation of this whole thing was getting even worse, moving from bad to worse. I was in a relationship whereby I did not, it's right now I feel embarrassed to even say it, but I'm just going to say it. The person I was dealing with knew what he wanted. He met my family, he met everybody. I met his brothers, steps. His dad is late. I never met his mom. I had my first child. I lost her. I still didn't meet his mom. We talked about it. He'll be like, he knows what he's doing. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, whatever this is, it became a problem for me. But when I lost my first child, I lost her on the second day after delivery. The intention or the plan, what I thought we had planned was that after the delivery of this child, we're going to have, the wedding ceremony and everything. I was finally satisfying my mom because he is a Muslim. I lost the child and I went from the hospital to becoming a wife. From the hospital, discharged from the hospital. And my bag, everything was packed. And nobody talked about the ceremony that was supposed to happen. Or the rites, the things that we're supposed to do so that we're going to properly join together. Nobody talked about it. I just knew that they came to pick me in the hospital, and all of my things, my clothes, my, everything that we had packed, prepared, that after the wedding, we're going to carry to my husband's house. Everything, like, let's say 70% of everything was put in his boots. And then he drove me to his house, and that's how I became a wife. And you see, at that time, I was so damaged because of the loss of that child, to the point that all I wanted that time was another pregnancy. I wasn't thinking, I wasn't focusing. I just wanted that loss to be replaced by a hope of another child coming again. I was not looking at my relationship. If I had all of the right teachings, I don't care, I would have taken a step back to really look at the things that I experienced even during the pregnancy. This man walked up to me before the pregnancy of the child that I lost. He walked up to me and said, he came to my house to visit as usual. And we started talking, and he said, he wants us to start a family. He wants to have a child. I was stupid. I should have asked, do you want to marry me? Do you want to do life with me? I didn't ask those questions. I just automatically thought that someone that wants to start a family, someone that wants to have a child, wants to do life with me. So, okay. At that time, I was already 26, going on 27. And I didn't want to tell my parents because I felt like they had seen me walking about with engagement ring, and I ended the relationship. They knew that I had ended the relationship with that person. But even as at that time, I did not have, my dad, maybe he didn't have the words, because my dad, he was not really educated. He went into, when I say educated, I don't mean like I mean academic education. He didn't go the line of studying in university and all of that. He went in the line of training. So he focused on the kind of training that he needed to be an automobile engineer. He was doing fine. And so because of that, because he felt like he missed, what he could have, had from academic education, he wanted us to study and really make it in life and be successful, in our careers and all of that. Because he has two other siblings, and amongst the three of them, he's the only one that chose the path of would I call it what's the word I'm looking for? This training that I'm trying to find the particular word for it, because he actually did his training, he did his training with Mandelas, and he started up his own company, and it blew up. So he was successful in, but all he knew was everything about cars. You see, he did not have vast knowledge about life and different things. When we go into the university, they start teaching us different things. In 100 level, you're going to do a bit of everything. You start to like, it's different from when I just want to, I just want to go for a
Master
vocational
class,
training.
going for a master class, a seminar, a
Yes,
workshop,
you
and
understand. I just want to go for a vocational training on this
yeah,
thing, be
yeah.
good at this thing and just do it. My dad
Mm.
wanted us to, be successful. He felt like he was different amongst his siblings. He wanted us to work, wear that white collar, this thing, and feel proud that even if he didn't go to school, we, his children, he trained us to, study and we're successful. So I couldn't tell my dad that I was ready. Even as I was wearing the engagement ring of the other guy, I couldn't tell him that I was ready for marriage, because he felt like you should have something for yourself. Maybe he didn't have the right words, you see, but he felt like you should have something. You should be able to take care of yourself. You should have something.
Independent,
Do you
yeah,
understand? To an extent.
yeah.
So when this guy, the father of my children, started to talk about starting a family, having children for him, I didn't want to take it to my dad. This time, I felt like this is it. My mom does not want me to be, to marry a Christian, and I'll just go with this guy. He wants to start a family. My mom likes him because he's a Muslim. Let's just do it. I prayed about it. Maybe as I thought was okay, was enough to pray, and I was like, let's do it. I literally called him on the phone. It didn't just happen. The pregnancy did not just happen. I called him on the phone and I said, I'm ovulating. Let's meet. I'm telling you. And that was how the first pregnancy happened. I had the child. I became a wife that has not yet met the mother of her husband. I started doing wifely duties. And then one day, while I was waiting to get pregnant again, I was really working towards, because I was so sad. I was devastated. I didn't expect that it would happen to me. I had a child, she was fine, and then she started to cry, and then they took her away from me, and then she didn't come back. I felt like my life was about to start. Oh, we have a wedding to plan. While I was pregnant, so many things happened. I saw that this guy did not keep to his words. We talked about having introduction, meaning introduction, before the pregnancy starts to show. And then my parents gave him the list. for traditional, everything that was necessary to bring for the traditional ceremony. But I noticed that this guy that would come to my house, like almost every day or every other day, started to come. The moment I became pregnant, started to come once in 2 weeks.
Wow.
I had not told my dad of the pregnancy. My mom knew, but I had not told my dad of the pregnancy because I wanted it to be like 3 months. I wanted him to know that, look, I'm serious about this. Like, don't try to tell me about having being independent or having what or what. That was my pitfall. Maybe if I had told him, Dad, see, I'm dating this person and he wanted, maybe he would have advised me. You see where the lack of closure with our parents, lack of good relationship, how it shoots us in the leg. Even though I didn't know what I wanted, he would have thought like, this thing is not normal. Don't do it like this. Let us do the right things first before you guys start thinking of. Because my dad married my mom honorably before my mom. He did everything that he was supposed to do. So in my family, I can almost say that I kind of like changed the normal to abnormal. Because I came from a family whereby my dad married my mom honorably. They had a wedding. They wore white. Even though it was not the English wedding dress, they wore white. My dad paid her bride price. My mom had my brother. You see, everything was like planned. The man knew that he wanted to. So those things that I was thinking was normal. Would have never been normal with my dad. He would have told me, no, we have to do this first and this first and this first. But because I was trying to avoid him telling me, try and build yourself first, I decided to move away from his own this thing. And then I got pregnant. I called him that afternoon. He came to our house that day and he talked. And then he left. And then I was like, I thought about it, like, I'm ovulating today. Let me see if. And then I called him. I went to meet him. And then we went to meet, and then it happened. I had a child. Long story short, after I lost that child, I should have sat down to really think about all the things that happened wrongly while I became pregnant. Things that were supposed to fall in place. We had talked about the introduction happening before I started to show, but I was not able to get him to concur to the idea of having the introduction until I was 1 month before my due date. So you can imagine pregnancy that was supposed to have, I should have been feeling like a wife already. I was pregnant in my father's house. My dad did not like it. My dad was disgusted about the fact that, how can I be pregnant in my house? But do you know what? The man, he held himself together. He took it. I never even knew. He did not show it. But you can always tell, who you've been living with. You can always tell. How could you do this? When I said it that day, that I'm pregnant, my dad looked at me like, he looked at my mom, and then he dropped his shoulders in disappointment. He looked at my mom because my mom already knew, you understand? My mom did not feel the same way he was feeling, or my mom did not think of, having it the way he would have had it, so he just said, okay. And I would see him every day. You just struggle a smile, and then you just try to make me feel better whenever I'm not feeling okay. But this man stopped coming. The introduction did not happen until 8 months, exactly 8 months pregnant. And when the introduction eventually happened at Deronke, he didn't come with his mom, and he did not even tell me that his mom was not going to be there.
Wow. Wow.
That's when I started to know that I had problem. I had a big problem, but I did not even realize, because he kept giving perfect excuses at the right time. My mom is critically ill. I should have told you. How come I did not even know that your mom had been critically ill? I should have been the one that would have made that excuse for my parent. My parent expected to see everyone that was important in your family. So automatically I became a wife. And my life started going like that. Okay. I wanted another baby. I didn't think about how everything went, the drama. And even up until the time that I had my child, he never for once acted as if he was preparing the traditional, at least before I had the baby, I should have, got one or two signals that we're having a wedding, right? I should have had one or two signals. It just only seemed like it was me and my parent that were kind of doing some little plans.
Wow.
But I can tell you that when I lost the child, I did not remember all of those things. I wanted another child. I did not even sit down to think. I was too heartbroken to think about my life or the relationship that was happening before my eyes. So I became an imaginary wife to a man that knew exactly what he was doing. And that's how everything started to happen. It's a long story. I hope people that will get hold of the book will be able to make sense of it, and also pass the information to younger generation that it's important for you to have a prior knowledge of who you are, what you want, and also align it with the laws of God to have a good life.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Well, that is your life of how many years in just few seconds. You shared it in just how many minutes with us. Um, that is deep. That is um it's kind of it's so it's sad, emotional, but I believe that you're sharing it from the place of I was blind, but now I can see.
Yes. And I'll definitely do things differently, because now I know, uh, more than ever, I have to model everything I want everything I want my children to be, the kind of life I want them to have. Because if I stayed, well, separation from the father of my children is a story for another day, right? If I had stayed, my point is, if I stayed, because I stayed, even I stayed, I'm one very determinant kind of person that when I decide to do something, I want to see it come through. I didn't make the decision because I wanted to chicken out someday. I know that I have that knowledge that life is tough. So that's the way I was viewing it, that everything will fall in place. But when I started to have my awakening, I realized that if I stayed in this relationship, my children are going to have it tough with understanding relationships and what it should be. I also, understood that it was all shades of wrong. I should not be in, I'm not supposed to be living like this. I should be happy. Things should go the way they're supposed to go. Those are my two reasons why I just decided to. I danced around. I did not even see it as a possibility. It's not like I did not feel like I could do it. I didn't see it as a possibility because I felt like we don't go back on our we don't go back on our decisions. We don't go back on our promises. How can I say I'm going to be with this man? But I decided to start to do the right thing for myself when I realized that I'm the only one in this relationship. What am I doing? I'm the only one here. Is this how I want my children to like see life? So, okay, I want them to just be doing whatever they like. And then they'll meet the right person for their lives, and then they'll just go. And they're not there. And everything is just, you just normalized wrong.
Right.
This is what will happen. You will normalize wrong.
Right.
And then they'll feel like it's normal. Like, my mom used to live like this, so why are you behaving like?
Yeah. And we have many of these kids, these children now, these men, these women now grown up and start modeling that same template, that they have adopted from their parent. And you see, just while you were sharing that, I remember a conversation I was having with someone here. This person is a Belgian, and she said something about one of our friends that got separated from a marriage of 22 years. 22 years. I'm like, what happened? And she said that, they got, as in, they do everything together. They have one life together, one life, one friends, one family, one everything, one job, one everything. So they come to that place of, boredom. They come to that place, maybe the other person like, I'm not even living my life. Now they wake up one morning to see that I'm living your life, not my life. This was saying, me too, I'm living your life, not my life. You see, you talking about having to know who you are, the self-identity, be self-aware. People don't know their negotiables and non-negotiables. You see, they just have this interpretation, this mindset of, oh, after school, I'm now 23, I'm 26, I'm ripe for marriage, I should just go in and all of that. Some people will get, I'm almost going to 40, I need to get married, I need to have my own kids and all of that, without having to think about this. But this lady said something. She said, the generation of our parents, this is a white person, a Belgian, said the generation of our parents, they did relationship marriage wrongly. She said they will stay in marriage even when they are not happy. And their excuse is that they stay because of us, the children. Now, when we grow
These
up.
are children that, sorry to cut you, from
No,
the age of, as at the age of 16, they decided to live their life. They don't, at that time, they're not even looking at you.
Right.
They're looking outside because they've had enough of inside. But if they had the right, teachings, they would unconsciously like go back to status quo in their mind, right, to know, to recognize, to do things the right way. Yeah. I was writing, I want to read this thing to you. I was writing something about, yesterday I was writing something about raising world changers. And one of the things that I wrote down that is in line with what we're talking about is, let me read it to you. Raise children with discernment. They'll have wisdom an ability to recognize truth from lies, good from evil, and most importantly, they will understand the people and situation around them beyond the obvious. If we had some kind of prior background, knowledge, we would, it will, even if for somebody who does not have discernment, what has been built in you will trigger your sense of discernment. You see, what has been built in you, maybe teachings and experience and things that you have been around. When you're around the wrong things, it will trigger your sense of discernment to know quickly that no, you just not feel comfortable with it, and then you know what to do. Many of us don't have it like that. So what you said about your Belgian friend talking about how their parents lived their marriages is like instilling a, like, let's just say, status quo. That's the mindset.
Right.
Just instilling, just dropping that model in them. So they're not really looking for anything. It is now that I've seen length and depth of the kind of relationship that I was into, that I now know that, firstly, majorly, relationship is about companionship. It's about building together and living, a life of purpose. If I want to become something, except that I don't want to become anything, and I'm just living my life, oh, it's a good day, tomorrow will come, and I'm not really expecting anything from life or expecting to be anything. I can date anybody, and whatever they serve me will be fine. But I'm growing, my mindset is growing. I want something out of life. I want to become something. And I'm in a relationship with the wrong person that is going another direction. Or that has another kind of life that is already living.
Yeah.
How do you want to bring that kind of person into your own?
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
So they were living, that's funny, they were living each other's life. This one is living for this one. That one is living. So they were just managing each other. And they got to a point. And do you know why they eventually broke up? Because they've already seen too much of breakups in the world that made them to feel comfortable with, like, oh, I beg. If they were living in the world of those days, their mindset, their discernment would not be triggered to feel like this is not okay, this is wrong. They'll just feel like, this is marriage. This is what happens in marriage. I live for my partner. We live for each other.
Yeah.
We really need to do better. Because relationship, it determines a lot of things. In fact, it determines 90%. Who we get involved with determines the trajectory of our lives. It determines how we're going, where we are going, where we're going to end. English people say, show me your friend, I'll tell you who you are. It's the same thing. Show me who you are moving with, I'll tell you where you're going. I'll tell you your direction. To avoid heartbreaks and, unnecessary.
To marry for, let's even talk about to marry for purpose. You see, like marriage, this marriage thing, a relationship thing, if people, you say, if a purpose of a thing is not known, right? A business is inevitable. You don't even, why do you want to do this thing in the first place? Are you just doing it? Why? What's the why behind it? So let's talk now. I want you to now that you know better, like you've learned from this thing, you see now what you are able to do. The first thing I'm hearing is that having to sit back now, you are not even dating now, you are trying to even go back to look at your own relationship pattern. You should to take inventory of your own
exactly
mistakes, right? Okay, this first one, I was with this person and I didn't know that love could ever end like this, true love. So I was still holding on to that first love. So every other person I'm meeting, doesn't
It,
matter. You see, I
it
just want to.
just changed everything for me.
Yeah. So now you went when you even met the father of your children, it's kind of like a 2 month after breakup from 2 months apart, and all, you just
No
want to die.
reflection, nothing.
Yes, and this is what we do most of the time. People deal before they deal before they heal, right? They just pamper. They don't take inventory. What happened? Where did I go wrong? What went wrong? And all of that. What can I do better? What can I stop doing? What can I do more? And do less. And all of those questions. Or do I need help aside from me even reflecting? Do I need to seek professional help? Do I need to seek wise counsel? Who do I need to talk to? What book do I need to read? Do I need to read someone else's story? Just like do I need to learn from? But people just feel like, no, they are their own expert on their own. They know better. What is in our relationship? I love you, talk your own, and all of that.
Things will fall in place.
And that.
Things
So
never
now,
fall in place. If we're not intentional about our lives and what we want out of life, we're never going to get anything out of life. We'll just be getting crumbs and we'll just be getting crumbs. We have to be intentional. Like, it's about intentionality. Everything. That's why I always advocate for look at the essence. If you don't even have any direction, what is the essence of try to understand the essence of this thing before you get into it? Try to what do I want? What do I need? What does this person want? Are we in alignment? This person's values, can I work with it? Because when people come into our lives, there's nobody that doesn't study anybody. Some people like, I did not take note of. People study you. They know who you are. Some people, they already know your weaknesses. They know what they want from you, and they know how they are going to manipulate it to manipulate your character or your ways, who you are. If you're not watching, they know how. If you're not watching, they know how to drive you. They know how to. So we need to have that background. We need to like advocate for that background of self-knowledge. Knowing your purpose. What do you want? These are things that we're supposed to use to judge how we move along with people. Maybe romantic relationships, or even just partnerships in business or anything at all. It works. It works as well. Intentionality is okay. I know who I am. I'm seeing this person. And you see, it's so easy now that you can read intentions through actions. You can read intentions through words spoken, through a suggestion that somebody gave while you're having a very important discussion. You can read their intention, by just trying to like think about what they said, the response they gave. That's how red flag is noticed. That's how you notice a red flag. You can tell that somebody does not appreciate your worth with the kind of statement they make. It might not be pertaining to you. In fact, you don't even need, at the time of maybe courtship, you don't need to judge them as how they view you or how they perceive, how they relate with you. Because someone that has intentions or has ulterior motives could be pretending. How about how they relate with others? How about how they talk about their friends' relationships? How about how the suggestion they gave or the comment they passed when the both of you just finished watching a movie together and you had a different point of view? That's how you know. It's not when they come to you, they be like, oh, but you are my babe. Oh my goodness. Oh, but I will never do that. No.